So as we begin this lesson, Jesus is Jesus's uh, ministry, his public ministry, is coming to an end. It is. We are now in John 9 and 10, and chapter 11 of John is the story of Lazarus, and then chapter 12 is Holy Week. It's the triumphal entry. So it's Sunday before the Friday that Jesus is going to die. So we're getting really close to all of that in John. And so it becomes even more important that Jesus get everything done for his disciples, and he knows what's going to happen, and he's going to hunker down with his disciples at one point, and that will be the end of his public ministry. So the text for this lesson begins with Jesus and ending his discussion with the Jewish leadership, the one that we talked about in the last chapter at the Feast of Tabernacles. And he delivered that stinging message to the Pharisees. We've talked about that already. And he in this particular passage that we've already read, that he gives us 5 different types of groups: blind sinners, thieves, robbers, true sheep, and hirelings. And we're going to go through those one by one. So the first one is blind sinners. People who don't know they need Jesus. We are all dirty, rotten sinners deserving hell. But some of us realize that, and some of us don't. So we're talking about here those who don't understand that. They think they're fine, spiritually speaking. I believe most people, at least in the Western world, believe that if you said, "How do you get to heaven?" I believe that most people would say, not that are not believers, would say, and I'm not talking about atheists, like it doesn't matter because there is no heaven. I think they would say, I'm basically a good person. I never killed anyone. That's a high bar, isn't it? Right? Yeah, good. You're not an axe murderer. That's wonderful. Come right on into heaven. But they believe that it is what they do, that they believe that if they get 51% good and 49% bad, they're in. If you got a 51% on the next test, would you be happy for that? No, that's not a good grade, is it? But even more, it's not the standard. God's standard is the same standard that Cornerstones is. It's 100% all the time. And we can't do that. And that's why Jesus came. Because the only way we could be saved, the only way that dirty, rotten sinners deserving hell can not go to hell, is because of what Jesus did. And we are to put our faith, and trust into that. The Pharisees thought that they could see, therefore they were blind. And if they had admitted their blindness, Jesus would have given them spiritual sight, spiritual insight. He'd given a blind man both physical and spiritual sight. And that person gravitated to Jesus. The Pharisees, the leadership, shunned him. I've mentioned this name before, Mel Goebel. He was the head of prison fellowship in Nebraska for a number of years. He's in Colorado now, and he has his own ministry. But at one point, I went with my father and met with who was meeting with Mel Goebel in Iowa, and he took me with him, and we had lunch together. And one of the things he said at that lunch, one of the things Mel Goebel said at that lunch was this: it is easier to convince a convict in prison for his need of Jesus than the average middle upper class American. Because you see, the American thinks they're okay. They're making good money. They have never killed anybody. They're basically an honest person, and they think they're fine. They're good people, not understanding there are no good people. We are all dirty, rotten sinners deserving hell. But the guy on death row, the guy in prison, knows he's messed up and is sorry he messed up. And it's one of the reasons why so many people in prison respond to the gospel, because they know they need Jesus. They know they need to be forgiven, not just for what they've done, but for ignoring Jesus. So, in order for us to know or understand our need for God, we have to realize our sinful condition before we can repent. As long as we think, hey, I never killed anybody, and honestly, even if the scale was 51-49, it's not. It's 100%, 0%. But even if it was, I don't know if I'd get in. Every deed, every thought, every action I've done sinfully, I'm not sure. And the only way to be sure is to come to Christ and let him take the sentence that you deserve, that I deserve. One person put it this way. Back in the 70s, there was this saying, and it was on bumper stickers all over the place. And it said, I'm okay, you're okay. Like we're all good people. I'm okay, you're okay. And I think what is more true is, I'm not okay, and you're not okay. But that's okay, because Jesus took care of it. We tend to minimize our sin and maximize what we've done that is good. So they think they're all right, but they aren't. And hopefully someday someone will tell those people the gospel so that they really can be right. We're going to start with thieves and robbers. This is John 10:1. Truly, truly, I say to you, he who does not enter the sheepfold by the door, but climbs in by another way, that man is a thief and a robber. So a thief is someone who breaks into a house to steal from the owner's inhabitants. Most thieves enter the house through a window rather than the door. thereby showing their dishonesty and sneakiness. They can't get in the door because they don't have the key because it's not their house. When you get home, have you ever climbed up to the second floor, broken a window, and gotten into your bedroom? No, when you come home, you go maybe the front door, maybe the garage door, but you go in through the door because it's your house. And if you were climbing up and getting into your room, you obviously did something you don't want your parents to know, right? So you're still not going in the right way. So years and years ago, I think my next youngest sister was in college, and I think I was teaching at Miller North. And my dad worked for ConAgra. It's a long story. He was the point person for a law in Nebraska that has turned out to be great for Nebraska, but a lot of people were against that law. And he was the chief lobbyist, and he's the one that got it into the Nebraska law. By the way, when I was your age, downtown Omaha was dead. Nobody went down there. Ever been there? And one lawyer told my mom that's what Marty made this, my dad, because he went down there. But he got death threats about that law, and so ConAgra gave us a security system. So this is like in the 80s. This is like when security systems were really new. And so we go in, we can't get in the house. We don't have the key, but we do have the clicker. So we go through the garage, and then we go to the garage door into the house, and it's locked. And we have no way to get in. And a cop comes along and sees us kind of loitering in this in the garage of this nice house, and he comes up with us, right? And he says, "What are you girls doing?" "Well, this is our house." And we get, okay, well, who are your parents? What are their names? And he's checking everything out, and then he takes out a credit card and he swipes it through the door and gets it to go back, and we're able to get in. But then the alarm is going, and we don't know how to undo it. and Georgianne thinks that somebody has broken into our house, and I'm like, yes, sweetie, we broke into our house, and I don't know how we got that thing to stop, but we were not robbers and thieves and robbers. But we were coming in the wrong way.
Have a good one, Miss Keegan.
You too.